new details over what's happened in Russia over the weekend. President Vladimir Putin's authorities getting tested for the first time in decades. Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin stopping his mercenaries 120 miles from Moscow after an apparent deal was struck with Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko. And then just within the past hour, he released a first statement, 11 minutes long. Prigozhin,
and look, I mean, more Russian bloodshed was avoided, at least for now. And keep in mind, Wagner was fighting with Russian forces. They shot down, I believe, 1 or 2 aircraft. So that said, there still remain a lot more questions, really, than answers as far as what happened and where it goes from here, right?
Now, again, Prigozhin's deal apparently was made with Belarus. There's questions over whether or not he'll face any criminal charges. At first, it was saying he wouldn't, but state media tasked saying the case against him is still active, citing a source close to the prosecutor general's office there. Right. Now, as you look at this video, Russians were greeting him as he left, cheering him on there, saying, Wagner is strength, you are the best, taking selfies with him. So a bit of a interesting exchange there. But again, just about an hour ago, he spoke about the armed rebellion that he staged on Saturday. It was 11-minute audio in Russian. He defended the move, though, as a reaction to the force, his force that was killed. But he says, we started our march because of an injustice. He said that it was a protest not to overtake the authority in Russia. So he didn't offer any details about his future plans. That, of course, remains to be seen, what many will be speculating on. Back here at home, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken telling ABC News yesterday that the uprising against Russia's Putin shows that there is a lot of instability at home regarding Putin's decision to invade Ukraine, and he says he believes it has turned Russia into chaos. Take a listen to Blinken.
It's still a moving picture, and I doubt we've seen the last act. And I also don't want to speculate because it is something that continues to move.
Well, it does. I mean, and there are a lot of moving parts, and I talked about this. We talked about it on Friday when I was filling in for Greta, whether it was a ruse, whether it was some kind of disinformation campaign. Well, there's still questions. I mean, it wasn't, because obviously Wagner was fighting, like I said, with Russian forces. But, whether something was worked out between he and Putin.
The deal, yeah.
The deal, and, of course, Lukashenko, well, let's talk about that. So let's welcome in our panel, retired Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, and also retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General Blaine Holt. Gentlemen, great to see you both.
Good to see you too.
All right, so let's try to sort out fact and fiction. First, we want to get a little bit of reaction that came in from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. This was his take on the turmoil.
Сьогодні світ побачив, що господарі Росії нічого не контролюють. Взагалі нічого. Просто повний хаос.
Okay, so he's saying Russia is in chaos. Now, just about 20 minutes ago, it broke that President Biden is saying NATO was not involved in any short-lived insurrection by Russia, by its mercenary force, and also adding it's too early to assess its impact. You have to wonder if that statement comes from the White House, because TASS is quoting Sergei Lavrov today saying that they were investigating whether Western spy agencies played a role. Obviously, with a heavy dose of skepticism over everything we're hearing, I want to get both of your takes. First to you, General Holt.
Yeah, well, thank you, and it's good to be with you both. Listen, the only thing I know is what we're looking at and what we have information-wise so far is not enough to know. Strategists live in two worlds. We live in the world assessing the most likely scenario and the most dangerous scenario. The most dangerous scenario is that this is just a big ruse, that Lavrov is going to make accusations about Western involvement, and that Prigozhin and the PMC are on their way to Belarus to set up camp and take over nuclear weapons. That is absolutely the worst it could be. You can't discount that because we don't have enough facts. On the likely side, it looks like Putin has been weakened. If this was an attempted coup, Putin certainly doesn't look strong as he's trying to figure out who's loyal and who's not loyal. The answer's somewhere in between, but we don't have the luxury of just discounting all of these various outcomes at this point.
Tony, this 11-minute audio where, Prigozhin is now saying it was not to overtake the authority in Russia sort of undercuts, what initially looked like exactly what he was trying to do. His reports were, this is a coup, this is a coup.
Or, Lieutenant Colonel, is he just trying to stay alive at this point? Because we know the outcome of those who have been critics of Vladimir Putin, some of them dying mysteriously after falling off a building rooftop. What do you think?
Well, look, I think a plutonium-210 cocktail may well be in Prigozhin's future. With that said, we are trying to sort through what the reality really is. Look, Prigozhin's speech may well be damage control, trying to pull back what he did. Part of this is Putin's fault. Putin gave him all sorts of latitude to spout off and say all sorts of things against Russian policy. Some of those things actually have grains of truth regarding kind of why Russia did what it did. With that said, it's going against Putin. And I think, as Blaine just said, we've got to sort through this. And if what we see is true, Putin was weakened, but he's already on the road to coming back. Remember, Erdogan had a coup attempt recently and came through it. A number of others did too. De Gaulle in '61 came through a coup attempt and did just well after that. Others did not do so well. Gorbachev in '91 was quickly deposed by Boris Yeltsin after. So there's so many parallels and yet so many differences. We, at this point in time, are going to need probably another 48 hours to sort out what's really going on.
Yeah, and Blaine, one of the things that I'm hearing, and I got word from Ukraine about this, is that there's a couple potentially divisions of Russian forces that have moved to the lines along the Eastern Front that are getting prepared for battle. And of course, Kyiv is going to try to capitalize this and talk about the chaos, but things maybe aren't so rosy in Kyiv right now either. One of the things we talked about on Friday and then over the weekend, we were messaging is that there are some problems in the administration.
Yeah, there's a lot of friction in internal politics in Kiev right now. It does look like the tactical situation from a Ukrainian perspective is they're making a pretty big move right now down around Kherson where the dam was blown. And it does look like they're making a pretty big move right now into Bakhmut. That said, the Russians have induced so much fog into this war with this incident. It is a good cover for a Russian offensive, a Russian attack, and the two divisions and the hundreds of thousands of troops in Russian-held areas should have us all concerned as we try to sort out what's going to happen next and where are we going to be with Belarus, and then again, what's happening with the nuclear power plant. Who's got control of the tactical nukes?
Serious big questions. Also, we could widen out too, and just 30 seconds to you, Lieutenant Colonel Shaffer. If Wagner's destabilized, is this an opportunity for, operations in Africa and ways that the U.S. and the West can sort of jump in now?
So we have to recognize Wagner is a tool of Russian foreign policy. They do things the Russian military cannot. They actually were formed out of the DNA of GRU. With that said, the Chinese use them too. So I think it's one of the reasons they wanted Wagner to be pulled out of this as soon as possible. They need Wagner. The Chinese need Wagner. Putin needs Wagner. You take Prigozhin out, it becomes back focused on those things necessary, like you said, Africa too. So I think we're going to see Wagner recover very rapidly, no matter what the drama is with Prigozhin.
A lot of pieces on the chessboard, though, certainly in play there. 48 hours is your timeline there. We'll have to have you both back real soon. Tony Shaffer, Blaine Holt. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Great to be with you.
Thank you.